Hello and welcome to Peaceful Rebellion and to the Hypnosis Academy. So we're here with a lovely man called Ian Robinson. And Ian Robinson, according to his profile, is a Reiki Zen master teacher. How about that? Yeah, so I've wanted to talk to Ian for a while because Ian's been involved in, he's currently going through some learning process with hypnosis as well and doing a fantastic job. So I thought it'd be nice to have a chat with Ian. Hello, Ian.
Hello. Wonderful to be here.
Lovely. It's lovely to have you and have a chat. Mm.
Excellent.
So, Ian, I'd like to chat about the work that you do. Are you sort of you're a Reiki Zen master teacher as well? Is that your full-time job, or do you do something else as well?
It's kind of like it's on the way to wanting it to be full time. So it is something that I want to progress and eventually do. I do work in what we class as the mainstream world as well as in a part-time job.
Mm-hmm.
And I've recently just changed jobs. So I did work in a supermarket part-time, and I just started a new job yesterday, working in a chain of stores called The Works. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they sell like art stuff, craft stuff, kids' toys, that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I, as you can tell by all the artwork around me, I like to paint, and I always get, well, majority of my art materials I get from The Works. And when I saw the job, I thought, oh,
Ah,
interesting.
okay.
So yeah, so it just kind of like it aligned nicely for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's kind of like a 50-50 balance at the minute.
Okay, lovely. And um, what can you just explain to me, because I know what Reiki is. I've only done the first two levels of Reiki a long while ago, but how does that link with Zen?
Right. So Reiki Zen is the company name that I decided to go with.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I decided to call it Reiki Zen is because of kind of like my life took like a bit of a strange spiral as a lot of people go through discovering themselves and discovering about life and who they are, and went through a lot of sort of mental health problems and anxiety, depression, panic attacks, things like that. And at the time I was on like medication to try and balance it and what have you. But after quite a few years of living like that, I got to a point where I was just like numb from like the top of the head down. And I thought there must be something I can do, because it just feels like existing rather than living.
Sure.
Um, and so I decided to, well, I actually, in a synchronistic fashion, a friend of a friend got in touch, and we became quite close, quite good friends. And he introduced me. He said he learned about my situation. He said, "Have you ever thought about meditation?" And I was that kind of person, early 20s. I like going out for a few beers and all that sort of stuff. Never ever thought that would enter my my field really, but
Mm-hmm.
started meditating, and granted it was only a few minutes, but a few minutes of just peace in the mind was so powerful, and it became like a daily practice to be able to meditate for longer,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to find that peace for longer. And it was through the meditation that gave me the clarity of mind to leave the place I was currently working at, because there's a lot of negative people, not a lot of negative energy that was there. And it was only when I changed jobs and went somewhere else that I found these leaflets about Reiki, and found like my now Reiki master. Went for a few sessions and kind of felt like when I left, I was just like floating on a cloud. I felt so light, so at peace. And I thought, well, I need to know more about this, because there was definitely something was shifting with combining the meditation with the Reiki. Something really deep and profound was happening. And then I found out that he taught it. So I just knew then that was like, ping, I need to learn more. I need to get on this. I need to do the courses. And I just knew I had to be able to get into a position where I could then teach and train people myself, which is where I'm at now. So that's the reason why I called it Reiki Zen, because obviously like Zen, like, you know, it's like a sect of Buddhism. It's all about like meditation. It's about like develop like an intuitive form of meditation,
Uh-huh.
which is kind of like, it's kind of like me all over really, intuitive and just trying to find that nice Zen place in life. And it's through that combination of Reiki and meditation that got me to here. So that's why I thought, that's why I need to call it Reiki Zen. So that's where we are currently. That's where we are now.
Lovely, lovely, really nice, excellent. And so, what interested you in hypnosis then?
The hypnosis was, something's been calling me to do it for quite some time, and I've been putting it off and putting it off. And then one of my friends messaged me saying, "When are you going to do this hypnosis course?" I'm just like, I know. It was always in the back of my mind to do it, but I didn't know where to learn, how to learn, where to start with it really. And I was aware of you because of one of Karen Stamper's videos,
Oh yeah.
who does SCHH. So after seeing that video and learning about you, I was just, oh, he's a really like lovely guy, really down to earth. He's from the north of England, which is where I'm located. He
A
plays guitar,
bonus.
he plays guitar, and I'm just like, which I do as well. I'm just like, you know what? There's something about him that I just feel some sort of connection to. It'd be really nice to be able to try and learn hypnosis through Gordon. And I think I'd emailed you like a few times, and eventually took the plunge and just went for it. And I thought, you know what, let's just do it and just go for it. So I started off with the clinical hypnosis course, and then done the past life course.
Wow.
There's more courses I want to do that I'm gonna add on as well. But
Mhm.
just them two alone have just been amazing, really amazing.
Yeah, and you've thrown yourself at it, haven't you? I mean, you've been sending me the, the videos of the sessions you've been doing, which you've been doing
Mm.
fantastically well. How have they been going for you?
Been going really well. It's been nice to get your kind of like guidance from your standpoint. And yeah, it's the more I do it, the more I just feel the less attention I think I pay to the script, and the more I just follow my intuition, I suppose, just follow what I feel called to do or called to say.
Yeah.
It you create that. It's like when like so in some of my therapies, I incorporate meditations as well. So and some of my clients like to have a weekly meditation with me where I'll guide them through the meditation, and it's very, very similar. And when I'm guiding through the meditation, I'm getting them to like sort of be in a beautiful garden or somewhere, you know. And then what I find really interesting is I start to, and I think you get this as well, where you start to see what they're seeing,
Yeah, absolutely.
even though like they're wherever they are in the world.
Mhm.
And you get that because you're both in that energetic frequency together. And I just found it find it really, really profound. And I thought, you know what, this is where like this hypnosis needs to come into, to just like deepen that. And it really does. Wow, it really, really does. It really takes you deep in those places with the client. And I know I've mentioned to you a few times how I felt like quite emotional because of that connection, because of what they were going through as well. And you said that was totally normal for a lot of people to go through that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and the connection, well, I was taught that if you want someone to go into hypnosis, you've got to go into hypnosis. You've got to
Mm,
show them where you want them to go. And so kind of that's what I was taught. That's what I always do. I go into the same state as I want them to be in. And the connections, the things that I see, and very often I see it before they tell me.
mm,
Just that, because it's very easy. They tell you something and you see it. If you've got a vivid imagination, you're going to be with them. But quite often I see it beforehand. I
mm-hmm.
don't say anything and I just wait to see what
Yeah.
confirmation, and
Yeah.
very often that confirmation comes,
Mm.
so it's a fascinating, kind of symbiosis with your client. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah. Especially over like, I mean, I know we're all connected and we're all one, but doing it even like via distance, like I say, like you're doing it with somebody on the other side of the world, a lot of people just wouldn't understand it or get it.
Sure.
But I think because you become more aware and open to everything, to the world around us, and to the energy of the world, and to the energy of other people, that you do become tuned into that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. So do you do most of your sessions through Zoom, or do you do hands-on as well?
So the Reiki side of things, it's kind of like a 50-50 mix. So I have some which is distance and some which is in person. And then I also do like Indian head massage, which I don't get a lot of clients for that, but the ones that do really enjoy it. Plus, they like to use it as an add-on or something before a Reiki session, so it really
Okay.
helps them like just sink and relax deeply into it, and then we go into the Reiki, and they're just like whoosh, they're just gone, they're away, they're just loving it. Um, so yeah, so it's kind of like a bit of a 50-50 mix at the minute between the two.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And obviously you can't do Indian head massage by Zoom.
No, yeah, yeah, it would be tricky.
Just imagine my hands on your
Yeah,
head.
yeah, absolutely.
So you've been doing past life regression. I've watched a number of the videos that you've recorded. How do you find that, and what's your opinion about that? What do you think it is?
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because um, not one person and not one session is the same.
Hmm.
Everything is different, and that comes into everybody else's healing journey and everybody else's life. Everybody is different. So we're going to experience different things every time we go into a hypnosis session or a meditation or a Reiki session or whatever healing session it may be. Um, what I think it is, or what I can try and grasp my conscious mind around it is that it's you're obviously you're getting the person in a very, very relaxed state, and it's almost like the way I kind of describe it sometimes with healing is you become so relaxed that your subconscious takes over and knows what needs to be pulled out. So I always think of people, I always try to explain it with people as being, think of yourself as like a computer hard drive. And when you come to defrag your hard drive every week and you click that button, as soon as you go into that relaxed state, your subconscious is then going, right, we don't need that. We don't need that. We'll start pulling stuff out, get rid of it, healing it, dealing with it, and you're integrating it and going through the process. And I think that is kind of what I can deem is a similar process as what is going on with past life regression, because something that we need to be aware of at that time is
Hmm.
coming to the forefront of the mind for people to see and observe. And there's usually, well, not usually, every time there's been a parallel between that past life and this life. There's been a deep, significant message between the two. And then they take that away, and then the healing work really continues after the session. Um, but yeah, it's been so interesting, like to go into it and to go through not just the emotions that they feel, but like you say, the symbiotic connection that you get with them. Um, and you feel like you're there with them because you want to protect them. If anything that they don't want to experience, you need to make sure that they're okay to experience that. Because like we mentioned earlier, you're kind of there, and you're watching it all unfold, and you're watching it happen. You think, oh God, do I need to like sort of get them past this? Are they okay with this? And you're tuning into like how you're feeling. How am I feeling? How would I feel if I was experiencing that? And I think that's why you become so deeply bonded
Mm.
with the session with the other person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I recall a session with a lady who was in a Roman amphitheater, and she was going to be given to the lions. And
Wow.
and I was thinking, does she want to experience this? I thought, I better ask, would you like to experience this or would you like to move through it? She said, I think I would rather move through it. Go
Yeah,
move through,
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I
So
think that would go for anyone, wouldn't it? They just wouldn't want to go.
no, I mean, it depends on how vividly you're living it. So it depends on the person. Some people are very visual. Some people are, they more get a sense or whatever. But this person was very much in the moment. So I think it was
Mm.
wise to move it through. Let me ask you a question about your beliefs. You, if you're doing past life regression, then you've got to have some belief about past lives and everything. What do you believe? Do we have them?
Um, I do believe that we do on some level. I don't know if because of the realms of energy, I don't know if I would class them as past or parallel.
Okay.
So but I am aware that, even through some of my Reiki sessions when I've worked with people, they've come in with such and such an ailment, or one girl, she had like a limp and she was walking badly. The week before, so she was walking fine. So I was like, "Oh, what's happened to your leg?" She's like, "I don't know. It's just all of a sudden just come on, like that day." Just thought that's a bit of a coincidence, considering she's coming for a Reiki session, and did the healing session, and for about half an hour, I stayed on the leg and worked on the leg, and I was taken to a scene in a war, looked like something like World War I, World War II, and where I'd seen that particular leg had been blown off by a mine. And I was just like, wow, is this like something from a past life that's like an energetic thing that's just cropped up in her field? And we'd finished the session and I explained it all to her, explained what I saw, and she got up and she walked. She was like, I can walk fine. The pain's gone. So I was like, that's what that was then. So it was something that she'd felt or experienced, and it's been lifted. And I
Yeah.
think that's similar to these past life regressions, things that we need to be aware of come up in this past life. But yeah, I don't know. I don't, obviously people see things in um from a time ago or in a different location or maybe in outer space or whatever. Um, I think they're just like kind of parallel now. I think of them as kind of like a parallel life, because that healing needs to come into the now for us to be aware of.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it?
I have no, I mean, I certainly believe that this isn't the only life that we're living, for
Yeah.
sure. All of the kind of the ideas and messages that I get, and I've done so many years talking to people's higher self and asking them questions.
Mm,
And the theme tends to be the same, but what I'm told is always that time doesn't exist. It only exists in the perception of this realm. And
mm,
outside of this realm, there's no such thing as the time that we have, beginning, middle, end. And so, yes, everything is occurring at the same time,
mm,
whatever that means. But the difficulty is that we can't put that in, we can't understand that because we're coming from a filter of time. So
mm.
when we say, everything's happening at the same time, we're still having to mention time.
Yeah.
So quite what that means beyond, I think we'll find out when we
Mm,
when we shuffle off this coil, or not. I don't know, but certainly what I'm aware of is that the experiences, real or not, are so tangible for the person and affect them so much that there's something in it.
mm,
There's something in it. It's not. I don't think it's fantasy.
mm,
And I know that in hypnosis you can lead people. You
mm.
can tell them, on the course, you probably heard me talking about the power of three, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you've told them.
Yeah.
Once you repeat something and you suggest something, you can get people to experience anything you like. However, in my experience, there's more to it than just that,
Mm,
because there are times where I've given no input at all and the person's just experiencing this incredible thing. It's all
yeah.
within them. So quite what it is, I don't know, but it's bloody interesting.
It is, yeah. Yeah, really, really interesting.
Very therapeutic as well.
Mm, yeah.
Mm. So have you done higher self work with people as well in the hypnosis?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I've
And how's
always
that
took them
gone for you?
through. That's been to be honest with you, I think that has been kind of like one of the most beautiful parts of it, is taking them to that place of the higher self. And again, there's always like a correlation with each higher self journey. When you go through, there's always a correlation, and there's always like light beings, or there's always like a white space, or there's always lots of colors, and it's always very bright. So you always get that. That seems to be the one thing that is always very, very similar in each higher self journey. Um, but then the messages that come through from some of the people that I've worked with, I mean, some of them have been very much like what you said on the course. It's just like they'll just give you, sometimes the higher self will just give you the plain answer, like yes, no, or whatever, and then it'll just say it as it is, end of. And then other people have just, the higher self is just, it's just not stopped. It's just, and I'm like trying to write all this stuff down. And it's like, and the pen's nearly on fire because I can't keep up with what they're saying. But yeah, it's been a wonderful process to go through. And what I've added now to the end of the higher self session is I've always asked now, if there's any healing that can be received from the higher self now,
Sure.
or over the next sort of coming weeks. Is there anything that the higher self can perform? And there's only been a couple of times where the higher self has said, yes, this will take place now, and it will continue for the next however long it'll be. But it's really interesting. It's really interesting seeing how the person changes, where you know it's them speaking and going through the past life, and you hear the voice and you recognize them. Then they go to the higher self, and okay, it sounds like them because it's their voice box, but there's a subtle change in the mannerisms. Sometimes there's a subtle change in the whole body where it just relaxes even further, um and it doesn't sound like them. On the pattern of speech is different. It's really quite beautiful, but quite bizarre as well.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. What I notice is that when you've got your client in hypnosis, you're always looking for any shift. You're looking for shifts, emotional shifts, physical shifts as well.
Mm,
And it's always very, very obvious when the higher self steps in. I ask it to step into the physical so that I can speak. The change, the physiology, the change in physiology is very apparent sometimes. And quite often I see it's almost like the face softens, but it almost like it illuminates. I often see more light coming from the person, just
mm,
brighter. And nearly always there's a smile, like this beautiful, peaceful love smile that comes as well. It is. And as you say, quite often the language changes, not just the tonality of the voice, but often the choice of words.
yeah.
Choice of words changes, and it often becomes more. For example, I watched the one that you did with a guy. I don't know whether he was local, but had quite an accent and everything. Yeah, when he was chatting in the past life, but then when he became his higher self, his whole the choice of words, he was choosing longer words. He
Mm,
was being much more eloquent when he was
yeah.
speaking. It was very apparent,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
with less accent and more neutral language. It was really interesting. That
Yeah.
happens so often.
Mm,
Mm.
yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? It's fascinating. Really
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Absolutely. And have you, I don't know whether that it appears on that course. Have you done the in between lives, or have you not seen that on the course yet?
Yeah, yeah, we did the in
In
between, like
between lives. Yeah.
so you could look over the entire life to see,
Yeah.
where the parallels are, and what healing needs to take place. So yeah, I've been through that as well in the course,
Hmm.
and that's really interesting as well, because you do see the connection between that life, whether it's a physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual sometimes, connection to this life as well. And so it's bringing that correlation of the two together,
Yeah.
and to bring healing. I suppose it's a bit like, when people talk about your fragmented soul, and you're all scattered off into different places, and you're bringing that healing back, and you're bringing that connection back, to, I suppose, the now, from that existence, wherever that may be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, and it's nice as well when sometimes I've had really big emotional blasts from my clients. Often it catches me unawares, and whoa, when they meet up with the soul group, the beings that they've been traveling through this whatever existence with, and normally when they meet them, I see tears, but tears of like, oh, my friends, I'm not alone in all of this. Very
Yeah,
powerful.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, beautiful. Lovely. So where do you think you're going to take the hypnosis then?
I'd like to try and incorporate it, because I know I've spoke to you about it before as well, but I want to try and incorporate it with the Reiki somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to try and utilize the two. I've just done an EFT course, so I want to try and use elements of that with hypnosis as well. So if there's any sort of emotional things that we need to be aware of, try and use hypnosis around that. And yeah, on try and using it on I suppose, like an emotional level, to any sort of healing that needs to happen in this life, to be aware of. But like you said about the clinical hypnosis course, once you get them into that place, and they're all very relaxed, and they're all ready to just go on the journey that they need to go on to, then you can create the scene that you need to create to facilitate that healing that needs to happen in that place. So yeah, so I'm really looking forward to trying to use it in other ways as well, and incorporating other things, and yeah, and other courses that you've got on your website as well.
Sure. Yeah. I always say with hypnosis, the only limitation to hypnosis is your imagination.
Mm.
Once hypnosis is just a little tool. Once you've got the person there, the question is, what are you going to do? And
Yeah.
the world is your oyster. It's your choice. If
Yeah.
people are willing to go there, then they're willing to follow you wherever you suggest that they go.
Yeah. It's
Excellent.
quite interesting, isn't it? How people can be so, once they're in that sort of soft, gentle place, it's so easy to just take them wherever they feel called to go. Whatever is arising at that moment in them, just follow that and take them to that place and find out about it. Talk to it. Talk to the emotion, talk to the feeling, talk to whatever is affecting you in life, and find I suppose, some sort of resolution, or why it's there, and why it still affects you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The most powerful, and I'm aware I'm asking you lots of questions, and I'll be quiet, and you can you can ask me some as well. What I've found is that the most beautiful healing and messages that come, or when you, for example, somebody's got some kind of dis-ease in the body, and in hypnosis they go and visit that area, and they find out where did it come from. And quite often, for example, in the last course this last weekend that I did, they went into a safe haven room. We created a safe haven room, and we called in the master teacher, and I just said, and in a moment the master teacher is going to give you a message that you've needed to hear for a long time. Everybody had a different message. Everybody had a different message in the group, but every message was the same, which was, everything's okay. You're okay. You're perfect as you are. You're enough as you are. It was just, it could have been the same being writing the message with using different words. And this isn't, I didn't put anything in the mind. All I said was a message that you needed to hear. And that it's like with the higher self, it always seems to be the same message of, hey, everything's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything's okay, you know, and people need to hear that, especially in these, you know, these days. People need to know that everything's all right.
Yeah, because people are so lost, aren't they?
Yeah,
People just they just don't have a clue who they are, what's going on, and what they should be doing in life anymore.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're on, you know, they're purposely being confused at the moment.
Mm.
No wonder they're
Yeah,
lost, you know,
yeah,
no wonder they're lost. Mm.
yeah. And I used your from the course you talked about like the various types of hypnosis, and you talked about I was telling give someone a bit of a red pill yesterday, and we talked about on the course where you'd mentioned about the different types of hypnosis, and you talked about when we went through the whole charade over the last few years, you know, um, and you'd said because in the script you say in a moment but not yet,
Yeah.
you know, and then you were explaining what's been happening over all this time where they're like, you know, and I'd said, you know, if it was really that bad, why not say now, you
Now,
know, right, we do this immediately.
sure.
But it puts people in that place of confusion, like, well, what do we do? When does it start? You know, oh, we'll have to
Exactly.
wait. We'll have to wait for,
Exactly. You're on pause. People are on pause.
yeah,
But when? But when? Coming
yeah,
soon.
soon, yeah. Yeah, yeah, and my friend who I was talking to, and he just went, "Wow!" He said, "You've just thrown me a major red pill." I said, "It wasn't me; it was Gordon that mentioned it in the course." But when I listened to that, and I listened to the various forms of hypnosis, and just think, "Yeah, absolutely, definitely,
Sure. Yeah.
mm,
Mm,
yeah."
mm.
So, what about you? Let's talk about you a little bit. Let's find out about Gordon Smith Duran. Where did it all begin for you on this healing journey?
Well, ever since I was a little boy, I was fascinated with hypnosis. I remember finding a book on hypnosis. You know, I mean, we're talking in the 60s, so the book was it was a very direct hypnosis.
Mm.
You will listen to the sound of my voice, and you will do this, and you are under my power. But it didn't matter. I was just fascinated. I was fascinated by it. At the time, because I was brought up as a Jehovah's Witness, hypnosis was to do with the devil, and it was a no-no. So although I was fascinated with it, it was kind of like, you know, my little sin or whatever. But in my 20s, I was just on this path of, I was working for the man, working in textiles, doing a very, very, very stressful job. But always I had this kind of, I was learning stuff about us, hypnosis, NLP, all of the, you know, EFT. I remember finding EFT when it first came out, and I was thinking, wow, this is incredible. And so I was on this path of getting all of these tools, and I didn't quite know why I wanted all of these tools, because
Mm.
I had a job, an extremely powerful, successful job that I hated, and it was going to kill me. And then it was then kind of, I got to a point in my life where I was so deeply unhappy. I used to just disappear in alcohol. I was in an awful relationship. Just my job, I hated. Everything was wrong. And
Mm.
the universe said, obviously, I've been putting it out there, like, I really am not happy. And the universe said, no problem. We're going to take all of that off you. And
Mm.
literally in 1 year, I lost my job. I didn't lose my job. I left my job, but under these terrible circumstances. Job, relationship, house, car, everything. All I had was me and a suitcase.
Mm.
And it was bizarre because most people would fall flat. I was so excited. I thought, oh wow, I've got a
Mm.
second opportunity. What am I going to do? I've got nothing. What am I going to build? And
Mm.
so I just I decided, right, well, I'm going to learn to be a therapist, because it was just happened to be a conversation. Somebody said, but you've always loved therapy. Why don't you do therapy? And I thought, when you hear something and you know it, and you think, why didn't I think that?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, that's where the universe works. It gives you these little messages. It just says,
Mm.
by the way, that way. And so I started. I learned. I started with NLP. Then I went on to, I only did NLP because I had to do NLP to be able to do the hypnosis. It was a prerequisite of the course. But so I did it kind of, I thought, well, I'll get that done and I'll get onto the hypnosis. That's what I wanted. But of course, the NLP was just fantastic. And it gave me so many tools. But the tools that you use in hypnosis, you know, it's kind of like, no wonder he said you have to do NLP first. And so I got hypnosis, and then I did master hypnosis, and then I did a Havening course, and I've just done lots and lots of courses to build up my toolbox. That's all. And I started therapy when all I had was EFT.
Yeah,
it's all I had, EFT.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like, you know, if you've only got a hammer, doesn't matter. Everything's a nail, isn't it? But so I just started using EFT, and what I discovered was it would work 7 times out of 10. You know, cure a phobia, get rid of a phobia with 1 session of EFT. And this is a miracle. And so I thought EFT was a miracle, but then I realized that it doesn't work all the time. And I learned the eye movement integration, or EMDR, whatever. And I noticed that that worked 6 times out of 10, but not every time. So what I became aware of was I needed lots of tools, because if it ain't working, there's no point in just keep repeating it. You know, that's the biggest mistake ever. I'll just keep doing it until it works. No, you have to shift. So that's been kind of my journey of building up this toolbox and then using it. And so I you know, at the beginning, I had most of my clients were presential, because then we didn't have Zoom or whatever. And so I got loads of experience, and I just offered myself out to all and sundry, forced people to have therapy when they didn't want it. Not a good idea, but hey, I got experience from it.
Yeah.
And then we came to the word you mentioned, I think it was, you know, the crazy bit. And I thought, I need to share these now. It's time to share what I know, because I know it works. I'm helping a lot of people. And you know, this, you know, goodness knows how many people now desperately need help, even if they haven't quite admitted to it. They need help. And so I thought, if I can share what I know, and especially with, I put the call out. Remember, I put the call out to all people who already were in healing modalities. And I really didn't expect much of a response. I just said, look, if you're in a healing modality, if you'd like some more skills, I'm going to start some courses. And my inbox just went, wham, filled up.
Yeah.
Right, this is the right time. And so that's the journey I've been on. I still work with people each week, but also I now share what I know, you know. It's been a lovely journey.
Yeah. It's enlightening, isn't it? Because you meet so many different souls, so many different people. And like you say, sometimes people aren't ready to make that step just yet, but they know that you're there. So when the time is right, then, you know, and also the tools that we have now, you know, like YouTube, the videos, Zoom, the tools that we have now to put the message out to people, to make them aware. But I mean, the other tough thing now is that everybody's a life coach or a healer these days, or does some form of healing. So it's trying to stand out from the rest of them. You know, how do you do that to stand out from other people? Do you try to stand out, or do you just allow people to just align with you when it feels right?
Great question. We live in a world of fakery and facade, and the people that I see, that when I watch them, I think I'm not seeing the real person. This isn't the real person. What I'm saying is their facade, that they want to, you know, they want to impress you. They want to, you know, catch your attention. They want to be exaggerated. And I've always had this, you know, the expression, to thine own self be true. I've always had this philosophy of, your audience is out there. The people who are going to resonate with you are out there already. All you've got to be is authentic. Be as authentic as you can. And you obviously excited, enthusiastic. You've got to, you can't just be going, well, my name's God, you know. yeah, you've got to give it a bit of welly,
Mm.
but all you're exaggerating is the real you. And obviously, you're not going to give everybody everything about who you are, because there are bits that you don't share. But I think authenticity is the key. And if there's one thing, I haven't got a big audience. I don't have a big audience, and yet I have plenty of work. Why is that? Because the people who are drawn to me are drawn to me.
Yeah.
I don't go for clickbait type of things, or let me get your attention, and then you watch the video and you think, I don't even know what they've said, or there's nothing there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's what I've discovered, Ian, is this: there are two things that you've got to do if you want the universe to work with you. Be true to yourself, as I said, and the other thing is you've got to give before you get. You've got to give before you get.
Yeah.
If you go into this thinking, right, well, I want to start earning money immediately, and I'm going to, ask people for money and stuff. No, I think the first thing you've got to do is you've got to give freely, give content. Lots of people are scared about giving content. They think, it's very old, it's very 3D. If I tell people what I do and how I do it, they won't come to me. Exactly the opposite. That's exactly the wrong thing. You tell people and then they think, my God, this person knows what they're talking about. I'm going to go there.
Yeah.
Because no matter how much you watch somebody explain a process, until you've gone through the process, you don't get the healing that, it's in the process that the healing happens, not just watching it. Yeah. So I think that's kind of that. I'm very comfortable with that. And I I'm just trying to be myself, and sometimes I swear and I drop the F-bomb, and stuff like that. And I just think, wow, why not?
It is what it is.
Exactly.
Chucking it in there.
At the right moment, for a bit of emphasis, a bit of, But because I don't know if I'll probably mention it on the course. In studies, it's been found that if you use a swear word, you have that person's attention for the next sort of 2 minutes, full attention with a swear word. And so that's why every now and again I drop them in. It just makes people go, oh my God, he just swore.
Yeah.
What's he saying? I better listen again in case he swears.
Yeah, so true. That's so true. What a great message. Just be authentic. That's kind of like how I started. I started off just doing like free sessions, Reiki and what have you, just freebies. And that over time gave me the experience. It gave me like various, it built my toolkit up as well, and then you become aware of other people, and like you might experience different things and feel different. Well, why does that feel different to that? And you start working on yourself. You're developing your own tools, your own understanding of how this energy is working, and it just opens you up to so much more. Yeah, great message. I was going to ask you, and we've totally gone off topic, and you'd said something. Oh, that was it. You'd said before that you grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, and I'm like, what? and then
drop that one in, yeah.
That'll get people's attention. And then you obviously a lot of religious stuff. Our kind of work is like, oh no, you don't do things like that.
Yeah.
Do you think that's changing at all, the aspect of what we do? Do you think it's changing on some level? Do you think religious people are becoming more aware and spiritually open to accept new things?
Good question.
What's your thought?
I think we're in a period of kind of rebirth. Religion is a bit of an old cow now. Religion in terms of what it was, and we're moving from religion into spirituality. So what I'm finding is that, and I love religions. Right? If somebody's got a faith and that brings them happiness, beautiful. I love it. I've got no problem with religions. What I've got an issue with is a message that used to be given to people, which was, you're a sinner. Yeah. And no matter what you do, you're imperfect. And that made people feel a lot, didn't do anything for the self-worth, the self-love, or self-respect. Whereas now what I find is that people are moving away from that rigid, I'm the man, I'm going to tell you what you have to think, feel, do. I'm going to show you, I'm the communication between God and you. There was always this conduit.
Yeah.
What I'm finding in now, and it's a tidal wave that's happening, whereas people are starting to connect themselves. And the beautiful thing about that I see is that there isn't a format. There's no, dogma from religion. Dogma is just, it's so horrible. It's like my way or the highway. You're with me or you're against me. You're either going to heaven or you're going to go to hell, but you're going to go to hell unless you do what I ask you to do. Whereas now we've got this, I can talk to 10, what I would call spiritually in tune people. And I'll ask them questions about what they believe, and they all believe something different. Core stuff might be the same, but if you get them into the details, they've got different takes on it. And I think that's absolutely wonderful. That's what, and yet we can all still get together and still be one in terms of, what's the fundamental belief? That there's more to this life than what we're seeing. There's another side, there's a connection, there's a divine, there's a higher power, whatever. Everybody's cool with that. Quite how that translates into your life, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. So I'm seeing this change away from rigidity and into flexibility of, hey, dance your dance, sing your song, do what you want, and I'll support you as long as you let me dance my dance as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's very different now. And in the likes of it, I don't know, when Reiki first came out, it was poo-pooed, wasn't it? When hypnosis came out, it was the devil's work. And even now, hypnosis is not, it's still, outside of mainstream. And, same as EFTs outside of mainstream, and havening's outside of mainstream, and all of that. But for us, for these awakened people, if you want to use that word, awakened people, anything's open. Everything's on the table, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it's a beautiful time that we're in.
Yeah. And do you think the reason why it still gets poo-pooed a little bit and still gets talked down is because a lot of the healing that we actually need is already there within us, and we don't need a lot of the external world that gets sort of forced upon us. A lot of things we can actually do ourselves. And I suppose various elements won't like that, won't want people to find that that strength within themselves, to keep them sort of under the power of the man or the system, or whatever you want to call it.
I agree. I mean, 100%. I know we have to talk in code, but the last thing that they want, and we know who they are, the last thing that they want is for us to be able to start getting in touch with our own power of healing. Because, for example, when you're laying hands on somebody, you're channeling that energy, but it's they are doing the healing on the inside. When I'm guiding somebody and I'm asking them to do certain processes, they are healing. And so that's the antipathy of what they would want us, which is, you want to be healed, put that in your mouth. Yeah. And it's kind of like, we know that, that it's a farce, because actually it doesn't heal you. All it does is just puts a sticking plaster over the problem, so you can't see it. I use an analogy of, if you take your car to the garage, because there's a knocking on the wheel, and you say, knocking on the wheel, mechanic, can you fix that for me? And the mechanic goes, can't fix it, right? Can't fix it, but I can give you a solution. What I want you to do is turn your radio up, and you won't hear it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you go, turn your radio up, you're driving, well, I can't hear it now, but then you get 20 miles down the road and the wheel falls off.
Yeah.
And that's what we would call that, this modern day idea of how to cure somebody. Just hide it. Hide it. Just keep
Yeah.
doing what you're doing, what you overeat and you overdrink and you stuff drugs in your face. Just keep doing that. Just take this. And no, I mean, we're in a new paradigm now. What I believe is are the steps to this awakening process, right? I mean, we've got the awakening to the world. That's a bit terrifying. It's a bit awful, when you have to wake up to what there is. But that's just the first step. Once that's done, and that, that's a hard one, and I feel sorry for everybody who's going through that at the moment. But the next step is awakening to yourself, and that's when you have to look in the mirror and say, am I taking care of this temple, this vehicle? And so that the next journey is a journey within, which is to actually put right, to cleanse mind, body, soul, emotions, and that's why our kind of work is so important, to help people to cleanse. But there's a lot more to it. There's the physical side as well. And the mental side, what toxic things are you putting in your mind, every day? What are you allowing? What toxicity are you allowing in? That has to stop, so everything has to kind of, this journey within. And then once you arrive within and you think, ooh, hey, I'm feeling pretty damn good. Then the next step to the awakening, the last step, is that return to the divine, return to God, whatever you want to call it. And that's that kind of, everybody's in that process in a different way, but that's ultimately where we end up going. Everybody ends up being the Buddha. I watched them, they were like really angry at the start. I can't believe this is happening. And then suddenly they're like, yeah, but I'm not interested in that anymore. It's a beautiful process.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we've all been there where we sit in the anger of the whole situation, and then after like maybe a few years, you just think, oh, here we go again. Yeah, whatever. And you just let it go on. Because you just know it's a load of BS.
Sure.
So yeah. So what's your, obviously going back into the realms of hypnosis, I had a really, really unusual dream last night.
Right.
So what's your take on dreams? What's your thought about them? Is it something that we're tapping into on a hypnotic level? Is it another existence? Is it work that we're doing elsewhere in that altered state of consciousnly? What's your thoughts on dreams? Because it's quite a deep
Yeah.
subject.
I mean, what I'm aware of is I've had lots of conversations about dreams with people, with my wife, especially because she remembers every single dream and every single moment of a dream. And I did a lucid dream course, and basically the first night that I'd started the course, I had a lucid dream, the first lucid dream in my life. And I went through this period of just having regular lucid dreams, etc. But what I'm aware of is if you look at dream explanations, they're a bit, like there isn't one consensus. Let's say it's very, very scattered. If I understand dreaming right, when we're dreaming, we're going off into the astral realms, and in the astral realms, it's like the astral realms for me, because the baddies can go there as well as the goodies, and it's just like a mayhem.
It's a mosh pit.
It is. I mean, it's just, let's not spend too long in the astral plane. It's mayhem. And I think that comes through in our dreams, because our dreams are very chaotic. Every now and again, we'll get a very, very powerful message. And I think we have to listen to that, because what also I'm aware of is that during that period, then, we can be contacted, but we've got to be very careful of putting too much stead. I think too much stead in everything that we get, because quite often it's very random. It's very random, and it's a bit chaotic. And because there's a lot of elements over there, and so it's kind of like what I mean. I follow this guy in Spain who travels. He does traveling in the astral realm a lot, and when he talks about it, I mean, he's just saying it's chock a block. It's chock a block with stuff, like, and really not good entities and all of that. I don't, whatever you think about entities. So it's kind of like, take everything with a pinch of salt. Don't change your entire life based on a dream. However, that it's tangible, and sometimes the dreams can really affect you. But meaning, I don't tend to attribute a lot of meaning to my dreams, but I do record them when I wake up in the morning. I record them because it's part of lucid dreaming. But it's and sometimes I'm thinking, what the dickens? But however, I mean, for example, in my dreams, I have been working in the factory where I started for the last 20 years. Like 1 in 5 dreams, I'm working in the factory and everything's going to shit. So what does that mean? I don't know. I didn't like it. I don't know why I keep going back there. It's obviously something I hadn't finished the job or something. I've got to keep going back to try and finish it. What's your take on it?
Pretty much the same. That there's something that is taking place in an altered state in the astral realms, whatever you want to call it. And on some level, see, on one side of the things, I think sometimes it is just a replay of that day's events or maybe that week's events, and it's just memories that are just like churning through, which is kind of like the psychological reason for dreams. Carl Jung and people like that use that. But then the other side of things, the more, so I suppose, energetic, deeper side of dreams, is, for me, it's all about kind of like symbology and the messages behind the symbology, the very strong imagery that you might get in a dream. There might be a message behind that. Again, trying to understand it is the clincher. But I do think that there is a level of healing that is taking place. And then, because I mean, today, or usually if I've had a really powerful dream or woken up like scared or whatever, I usually feel just like, it's like drained, because I know something has been taking place. And this dream that I had last night was just so vivid and so bizarre. And then, but I'm still trying to, but when I mentioned before about the guy that I gave a red pill, about what you'd said in there. So I chatted to him today, and he had very similar experiences in a dream last night. And we both woke up around about the same time. So when I woke up, I was like, oh shit, what was that? I looked at my clock and it was like 3:10. He remembered it being like 3 a.m. We've had very close connections where when we first met via Zoom, and we did a couple of talks on my channel and what have you. Afterwards, about half an hour after we chatted, I messaged him and I said, where do I know you from? And he messaged back saying, holy shit. He said, I've just been thinking the same thing. It's like, I know you from somewhere, but we've never met apart from via. So there is some sort of soul connection on some level between us. And for us to then have this sort of, I suppose, again, a co-symbiotic experience within the dream realm, there's something very powerful going on behind the scenes right now.
I think right now, the way that things are manifesting it's never been this way that I'm aware of. I'm talking about this last century or whatever. We have never had the frequencies and the vibration that we're in now, and so everything's becoming a little bit weird. It's becoming a little bit outside of the normal, even with things like repeated numbers that everybody, it's like, God bless you now. Repeated numbers, but and also the way that the speed of manifestation, the the coincidences that are happening, like the situation with you and your friend. I've lost count of the amount of times that I have said something and the person said, well, I was just about to do that. I was just about to say that. And we've had that for a long time, but never as much as we are now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think we are in incredible times, and hence the fact that the baddies, that I refer to them as the baddies, they're going crazy at the moment. I mean, they are throwing the kitchen sink at this. Why? Because they're trying to stop this frequency from happening. If they can, you know, I got a frequency chart, you know, the emotional frequency chart, 100 God level and 0 death. And they want us in fear, which is right down in the, I think 100 or something like that. They want us in fear. And, you know, we are shooting up. And the only thing they can do is keep trying to knock us down, which brings us back to this, you know, not yet, tomorrow, next month. Yeah. And it's like, well, that keeps knocking people down because they go, oh my God, well, I can't become the Buddha until the end of November, you know, and then when they say it's going to happen. So, but coming back to your point about the dreams as well, and I'm aware that we've been talking for an hour, so we better not talk too much longer, but they've done tests where they stop people from dreaming, they stop them from going into the REM sleep. Yeah. So they keep waking them up. So, you know, you go into REM, and then in the REM, you're having your beautiful dreams. They keep stopping them. And then those people start becoming psychotic. So why is it, you know, obviously if you're sleep deprived, then you become a mess and then you die. But even without dreaming, you start becoming have this psychosis of where, so you know, you mentioned the word defrag. There's something going on that puts everything right, or put stuff in order, or you know, you'll download whatever you need to download, or upload whatever you need to upload, whatever. It's very, very important. You know, I think it's worthwhile everybody focusing on dreams, and certainly keeping a dream journal. That really helps because it makes the dreams become stronger and stronger as well, and more memorable. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, like you say, we've chatted for just over an hour now, so it's been wonderful to have you on
It's been channel. Wonderful, yeah. And I have a feeling that we could probably talk for about another hour quite easily.
Easily, because we haven't even touched on music yet.
Oh my God. Yeah. Next time we'll have another chat in the future. That'd be lovely.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, definitely. So so we'll wrap things up and catch you again soon.
Yeah, and Ian, I in my channel, I'll put your details if people want to contact you and organize it, for example, a Reiki session or whatever, or just contact you, you know.
Yeah, and I'll link all your information below in my descriptions box as well. So if anyone wants to learn about hypnosis, go and see Gordon, get over to the website and check it all out.
Fantastic.
A lot of stuff there. So, well, thank you again, Gordon. Thank you for making the time to chat today. And we'll catch up again soon.
Okay, Ian, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to speaking to you again.
Lovely. Take care.
Take care.